Right, time for us to get into our Western Cape race meeting down at Kenilworth on Wednesday, the 9th of June. As you can see, Rahiel has joined me. Just a couple of scratchings quickly before we get into the actual card itself. Kenilworth race 1, number 4, all around the world. That Oasis Dream first timer won't take its place. And then in the 8th race, remembering, by the way, this is Tuesday night, so we might see a few more changes overnight or in the morning. But in race 8, number 11, Star of the South, is a non-runner, and so too is number 13, Dollar Brand. Rahiel, good evening to you. Thanks for standing in for Cape Town, although you're becoming quite pretty shrewd in Cape Town, almost as much as your KwaZulu-Natal. Well done for solid gold. I'd have paid 28 Rand a win, didn't it?
Yeah, hi Neil. Yeah, it did. It paid 28 Rand or somewhat. Yeah, it was a good result at the end. I mean, I thought Captain of Stealth might have stolen the race. You know, he skipped a few lengths clear at the top of the straight. I thought maybe he's gone, but he faded out of it and Solid Gold took over. So it was a good win.
He might have gone a bit too quickly, actually, as it turned out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he might well have. But anyway, well done. I mean, you had a good day. And then the other horse, Gallic Princess, ran a nice race, which we both liked. So all in all, it wasn't a bad day on Sunday. Right, let's get into this race. It's a race meeting. It's not easy, is it?
No, it's not at all. It's tricky, especially late on in the card. I mean, the first two races look that the two favorites would dominate, but late on the card, it's really tricky.
Okay, well, let's get into it. We won't spend too much time on the first couple of races. Leave us a bit of time to have a look at the other races. Let me get the soccershop.betting up for you and for all of us, for our viewers as well. Okay, that's the last race because we were just checking on scratching. So let's get into the first race where Dragonfly opened up at odds on, but it eased out a little bit in the market, and probably because of the money for Debonair. What did you make of the first race?
I thought that Dragonfly would be tough to beat in this race. Yeah, ran a fair debut, 5th behind Rod the Mod. There's been 3 winners and 2 places from that form line, and then last time out was just narrowly beaten behind Never Ending Rain. So I think with those 2 runs under the belt, this 2-year-old son of Water Winter, he should be hard to beat in this race. Yeah, I see there's money for Debonair. I mean, this horse ran a fair debut, 3.5 lengths behind Captain's Knot, but I think he would have to improve a bit more to be competitive in this race. Yeah, I think maybe you can include Mr. Frosty in your exacta bets and stuff like that. He's always there and thereabouts, and he shows good pace, but you know, he just stays on at the latter stages for a place. But Bipart Banker in race 1 year in the form of Dragonfly.
Okay, so Bipart Banker says, Rahiel, despite the fact that it's drifted a little bit, there's been long shot support for some runners. The problem with Mr. Frosty is he's okay for the swingers because he keeps running third. I'm not so sure about the exactas, but he should probably run third again here. Double Superlative is the Snaith and Faree trained runner, and that is a first-timer son of Twice Over out of a Jetmaster mare. So we'll see if there's a follow-through in support for him. But Rahiel on form is sticking with Dragonfly. Let's move on to the second race, maiden plate for fillies and mares. And here we got Amanzan Toti, who is basically a firm in the betting market, has moved a fraction, really. That's the daughter of Trippy out of Beach Beauty. And they bet 7-2 Silver Darling. That's eased in the market, but quite some significant support for Andre Nell and Grant van Niekerk's combination here of Queen Mercury, the 6, who has had 2 runs. The first run was very promising. The second one, not so good, but was drawn 8 out of 9 around the turn at Kenilworth, but that's quite a bit of support.
Yes, it is quite a bit of support. I think this horse will run a much better race tomorrow with Grant van Niekerk back in the saddle. Has a good draw 4 up the straight, who will be there and thereabouts, but I think Amanzan Toti should be the one to beat in this race here. Nicely bred 2-year-old daughter of Trippy. This filly ran on really strongly on the debut effort behind Mercury Rising, who was an odds-on shot on that day. So that filly got the job done, and Mercury Rising was running on, Amanzan Toti was running on really strongly. So I think she should go very close in this race here, and she is the one to fall to beat. And then Queen Mercury could want to chase her home in this race here. And I think you got to respect the Snake first timer Silver Darling as well, 2-year filly by Silvano. So you can also give her respect in this race here.
So what would you do in your bipod then? You bank it in the first leg. What would you do here?
I'd bank her the 8 horse, Manzum Toti as well. I think it could be a quick double for Candice Bass Robertson, yeah.
Okay, so a nice start for Candice, says Rahiel. That'll be music to her ears. Next race, well, I was going to say it's an open race. It starts to get really tough, but you don't have to be a genius to work that out when you look at the betting. They're betting 7-2 the field. At one stage, they were 4-1 the field. Izapa opened up 4-1. There has been support again for Andre Nel and Grand Finico here. It's a soft falling rain out of a dynasty mare. She's won 2 of her last 3. He's won 2 of his last 3. But I don't think he's going to find it that straightforward. This Captain Dizzy is very capable. Louis Nkotwa and Pete Berta have been formulating a tremendous partnership, and Pete Berta continues in excellent form. So I think personally, I thought that was a big runner. And then some money for Ticket to Ride and for Fort Red. How wide would you go in the bipod? Because you went banker, so you can go a few if you wanted to.
In this race here, I'm going to throw in 4 horses here. I'm going to start off with the 9 horse, Picture the Moment. I know that this horse is a recent maiden winner, won last time out, just getting the job done behind Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln has since come out to win, so the form has been franked. The 12 draws a slight concern up the straight, but considering that this 3-0 Son of Visionaire does show pace, so I'm guessing Sandile and Bele would have to come across. But if you have a look at his run behind Chala when he just got touched off, he carried level weights with Chala on that occasion with 62 kgs, and Chala beat quite a few in this race here, and he had to give them weight here. So I think that brings Picture the Moment right into the equation. He's some nice value at 16 to 1, and Vaughan Marshall and Sandile Mbele are in cracking form. So I think this Picture the Moment could run a really good race here in this open contest. As you mentioned, Captain Dizzy, Louis Kotwa and Pete Porter, they also have formed a good partnership of late, and Captain Dizzy is in some good form. I just think that he prefers the 1,000 meters more than the 1,200. But in saying that, last time out he did run on strongly and just got going a bit too late over the 1,000. So the 1,200 could be a bit better now that he's maturing with racing. So he's definitely want to include the 2 horse Izapa. I think that this horse definitely prefers sprinting rather than the 14 and the 16. So now that with the confidence after that last win, I think that this 3-0 Son of Soft Falling Rain could be one you can include. And then I thought Faithful could also be a runner in this race here. Last time out he was slower length, and then he ran on quite strongly at the end. So I think if he jumps on terms with them under Robert Carty from draw 3, he could be finishing off really strongly in this race here. And you could possibly include others in this race, the likes of Fort Red, Benjamin, Moon Rock, who always shows good pace early on, as well as the horse Power Grid, who continues to drop in the ratings. So it's a tricky contest to start off the pick 6.
I agree with you. I think it's very, very trappy. Sure, I think you've got to go a few here. So just remind me the 4 numbers you're going to put in then. I know 9 was your first one. What was the other ones? 9?
Captain Dizzy, Izapa, and Faithful. So 9, 1, 2, 11.
Yeah, 1, 2, 9, and 11 are the numbers there. In a very, very open race. I agree with you. I think that is tough, and that could be where the bipod begins to pay, particularly if Picture the Moment were to run in with Shaboom or Alter Ego or Matthew the King or something like that. You could really get a big result there. Let's move on to race 4, and I quite like this race in so much as I think it's difficult, and as a result, Croissant is also scratched here. Croissant. I don't know if you spelled croissant like that or croissant like that, but anyway, it doesn't make a difference. That's unfortunate because I gave that a bit of a sneak actually. But it's out the running, and that leaves us with Katie Dew at 3 to 1. Cape to Rio at 4-1, and then a touch of money for Tallahassee, Golden Door, and Celtic Knight, and 7-1 and better bar those. What did you like?
I like the Golden Dawn in this race here with Craig Zaki aboard. This filly is drawn well in gate 4 compared to her last round where she was drawn in gate 9. And I think that if Craig Zaki manages to get her into a good position, much closer to the pace, she could really run on strongly at the finish, and she could beat them all. She goes over the 1600 for the second time. And the previous time that where she went over the 1600, she finished 3.9 lengths behind Black Silver. And that occasion she was drawn the widest in gate 8. So now she's drawn good. She has a weight of 55 kgs on her back. I think she's a big runner in this race here, and I'm give her a big chance here. I also think that Queen's Club could run a good race, and the wide draw is a slight concern here. But if this filly is able to be dropped out and she can run on well at the end, she could even take this race here or earn a place. After a win behind Perfect Princess, her form has slowly been improving, and you have to give her some sort of respect in this race here. And then the favorite, KT2, she won really impressively last time out, beating Tenacity by 7 lengths. She got 6 points for that win, and I think she can be competitive in this race here, but I don't think that she's bankable in your buy part or PAs and stuff. I think it's you can go a bit wider than that. So I'm gonna go for Golden Dawn in this race here to beat Queen's Club and KT2.
Okay, yeah, I don't like KT2 particularly. I mean, she can win, but you know, she went up from a 74 to an 80 when she won, and I know she won by 7.25 lengths, and she was very impressive. But she got slam dunked with 6 points, and that means as a 3-year-old filly, she's got to give your horse Golden Dawn 3.5 kilograms. That's quite a lot. And there are others even below that. I thought Cape to Rio, despite the draw, was a massive runner here. I looked at a couple of runs on a line through the 7th of November run, and then there's one run where Golden Dawn does beat her, but there's other runs on Sovereign Rose's run where Cape to Rio beat her by nearly 6 lengths, and she's 2 kilograms better off. So I quite liked Cape to Rio here, but it's not like we're getting great value at 4-1. So maybe that race you need to put in a few in just in case. There might be a train smash there. I know Kathleen has got top weight, but I did notice that she's dropped in class. I mean, she's running at a merit rated 80. She's been competing in fillies and mares 95s and 97s, and around that 86s and 87s. So she's going to look around at the opposition and she's going to think, I haven't seen any of these recently because I've been running against Hello Winter, Hello, Third Runway, and Phil's Dancer et al. So I thought Kathleen actually might run quite nicely at a big price, 15-1. But I thought that was trappy too. What we both agree, Rahiel and I, is that KT2 we're going to try and beat there and go just a little bit wider. We shall see if we are right or wrong. Race 5 is where we go to next, and let me just bring that up. This is Lilac Sensations race, but a very open contest. They're betting 3-1 the field here. I liked a bit of a horse here, but you go first, Rahiel. Who did you like?
I think these two horses could fight this race out. I know that you mentioned that it could be an open race, but I think that Starboard and Lilac Sensation could be the two that fight this race out here. Let me start off with Starboard. This is a 3-year-old filly of Twice Over. She carries 53 on the back. Grant Van Niekerk is back aboard her. And last time out, she kept on gamely to beat River Cafe, and River Cafe has since come out to win after that. And this filly runs well over the course and distance with a win and a second. And I think that since she's carrying a lightweight, she could be really competitive in this race here. And she should give a good account of herself. Then Lilac Sensation, who carries 52 on her back and has a good draw of gate number 3. She's also one that you got to give massive respect to. If you look at her last three rounds, she was drawn 8, 7, and 9. So with being drawn in gate 3, that allows Sandile Mbele to be able to place her a lot closer to the pace, and she could run on strongly at the end. She has placed over the course and distance, running second behind Miss Mostream, where she was just unlucky that day. She was inconvenienced at the 300, and she probably would have won on that occasion. But sorry, that was behind so flawless, and she was unlucky there. But I think that she could go very close in this race here. So I think those two should fight it out. But then also have respect for Secret Depths, who always runs an honest race and could be there for the trifectas and quartets.
Yeah, I thought Lilac Sensation still looked exceptionally well in, really. I mean, she's getting weight she's getting a kilogram from Starboard and Dad's Catch, a decent 3-year-old fillies, but she's a 4-year-old. And as you say, she's very well drawn, and Sandile Mbele is riding at the top of his game. So if anybody's going to substitute for Richard Faree, because Richard can't ride that way to 52, then Sandile is in a good position to do so. So there's not much value, but Lilac Sensation would be my first choice at 3-1. The roughie that I thought might run well is number 3, Gimme, 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 who is back to her merit rating when last she won. So she won off at 85 on the 19th of September last year, and then she went up from a 85 to an 87, and then to an 87 to a 90 because of those two very good runs, third to Secret Depths and second to Zarina. But she's now come back down to something more competitive, I believe, and when she was off 85, she ran third, second, and first. So I think she might be competitive of 85. I like the booking of Greg Sheen back on her. Greg has got an excellent race record. And I just thought, those two runs, the Our Prize Jewel run and the Sovereign Secret run, were bad runs, but she wasn't striding out. So, the sting's out of the ground now in winter, and she might just prefer it. So she was my roughie, each way roughie at 10-1. Gimme, gimme, gimme. It's before your time. It's before your time, and I wouldn't expect you to be singing it, but there was an ABBA song. Your mum will probably know it. Gimme, gimme, gimme a man after midnight. Ask your mum tonight if she remembers that song.
I shall ask her. I have no idea about that song.
It'll be before your time, but I'm sure she'll remember it by ABBA. I won't go into the details of whether she sang it to your dad, because we might be getting into dangerous territory there. Right, let's go on to race 6, shall we? 3, 4, 5, 6, 15:30. Okay, 18-10. The money has come for number 2, Santa Maria. You've already said Candice Bass-Robinson looks to have a good day, and it might get better if this daughter of Trippy were to win the Perfect Promise Sprint, and she's been backed.
Yeah, I think she has a really good chance in this race here from draw 1, and she's only improving with racing. And if you have a look at her run behind Jewel of Doha, there's been winners from that form line. There's been 8 winners and 2 places from that form line. And then when she won her maiden behind Treasure Hunt, there's been 3 winners and 3 thirds from that form line. So the form lines are looking strong. And although she does give weight to Treasure Hunt in this race here, she gives away 2 kgs. I think that she has a lot more ability than Treasure Hunt, and she could go very, very close in this race. And I'm expecting her to be one of the leading lights in this race here. I have massive respect for Winter Mosaic, however. This 2-year-old filly by Water Winter returns after a break. She last ran on the 27th of February behind Gimme Dat, and she receives 2 kgs from Winter Mosaic, from Santa Maria in this race here. And if you have a look at Winter Mosaic's run behind High Hosanna, she had Jewel of Doha behind her on that occasion, and she had to give Jewel of Doha 3 kgs, and she beat Jewel of Doha. And now she receives 2 kgs from Santa Maria. So I think if she's fit and well, she should run an absolute cracker in this race here, Winter Mosaic.
So she's probably the value, eh?
he's most definitely the value at 3-1 compared to 18-10 about Santa Maria. And then I think you also have to respect Quintus Light, who, if you have a look at penultimate run behind Ambiorix, we saw Ambiorix win the golden medallion on Sunday. So we obviously have to give her massive respect in this race here. And case in point, she won her two victories have been really impressive, but I think that Santa Maria, Quintus Light, and Winter Mosaic could be the three to fight this out here.
So what would you do in your bipod? Would you go all three, or would you be happy to bank either Santa Maria or Winter Mosaic?
I'd go for Santa Maria and Winter Mosaic.
Okay, so that makes sense during watching the race, because all you'll have to do is shout home Mrs. Rupert Silks, because both of them raced for Drakenstein for Gaynor Silks, and she bred them both. The only difference being one is trained by Candace, the other one's trained by Justin. So Santa Maria and Winter Mosaic, I agreed with Rahiel there on the two Drakenstein stud horses, but note that there is money for Quintus Light, which is Richard Ferree's ride. Now, let's move on to race 7. Ravensthorpe is all the rage here. He's been backed from 15-10 into 14-10. We saw the first two races today, I think, in Joburg, won by Rafifs. I said some months back that, in fact, I told everybody when I went down to the Cape sale and we bought our Gimme the Green Light, prior to buying him, I'd been underbidder on a couple of Rafifs, but they were going for a little bit too much money for our first small steps as a syndicate. I think the first one went for 375,000, which was a little bit rich for us. But they have, which doesn't surprise me, been extremely impressive. And here's Ravensthorpe at 14-10. He's clearly the horse to beat, but, you know, he's taking on some decent horses here. He's stepping up to the African Reigns of this world and Barcelona and Danilovic. So he'll have to be at his best.
Yes, I'd certainly agree with you on that. And I don't think he's any value at 14-10, not at all in this field here. It's a lot more open than just him here. And African Reign is actually my first choice in this race here. Greg Sheen has obviously chosen to ride this horse over Barcelona, and I think that last time out he gave the African Reign a good ride, going on to win, and I think African Reign has got some confidence going now, and I think he could go very close in this race here. I know that he has to give way to Barcelona, who did beat him on the run behind Super Siri. So. No, sorry, Ambiorix. Yes, Ambiorix. So I think that brings Barcelona into the equation here, but I think African Reign just could get the better of him once again in this contest here. Interesting for me is that Persistence and Ravensthorpe at the opposite ends of the betting board here. If you have a look at both of their first runs behind Mark's Vigilante, Persistence did beat Ravensthorpe on that occasion. Yes, Ravensthorpe was inconvenienced and would have gotten a lot closer. But the fact is, Persistence did beat him. And now that they carry level weights, I think that Persistence could certainly provide some value here. I see he's priced up at 18-1 compared to 14-10 of Ravensthorpe. So I mean, I'm sure some people would rather take the places on Persistence than taking 14-10 a win on Ravensthorpe in this open-looking contest here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Ravensthorpe might well prove strong enough to win this. And he is getting 2 kilograms from African Reign, but, you know, that form line hasn't exactly worked out, the Sheshpesh form line. You know, so taking nothing away from him. I mean, he won a great race, but I think this is definitely a step up. And I'm not so sure I'd have been rushing to take the 15-10, and certainly not the 14-10. I think you're right. There could be a few there. You know, Danilovic had run second to Barcelona on debut. And then he also took his chances in the nursery and was some way behind Barcelona. So he probably shouldn't be able to reverse it with Barcelona. But I think those two Bass Robinson horses, African Reign and Barcelona, could be runners. And interestingly, the shortest of the lot is actually her third runner, which is Trip to Fortune, who is bred and owned by Mrs. Rupert as well. So it could be a good 40 minutes or so for Mrs. Rupert. We shall see. I thought it was an interesting race. That what we are basically saying is there's no value in the favourite again.
No, not at all. And I think you could go. I think you could go wide in this race here. If you want, you could possibly include the field here in this race here because it's not cut and dry.
Okay, there's a thought for you. I agree with Rahiel. It's possibly a little bit deeper than the betting suggests. If you read the betting in the newspaper, you're going to think it's a one-horse race. Racing Association merit rated 84 handicap to end proceedings. I want to remind you as I just go down at the two scratchings, because I think they are important scratchings. Certainly number 11, Star of the South, punters would have been expected to improve. Number 13, Dollar Brand, is scratched as well. So 11 and 13 come out. Let's go back to the top of the market, where all lit up is the joint favourite. I think Giacomo, I seem to remember John O'Snaith or somebody telling me this is pronounced Giacomo Puccini, not Giacomo, it's Giacomo Puccini. So I think I've got that right. But anyway, those are two joint favourites. A touch of money for Double Charge. That's Andre Nell and Grant Fanico again. Jean's Man is into 7-1. What about this race? Is the winner going to come from those top four, or could there be a surprise?
It could come from the top four, but it's a bit open this race here. It's not an easy contest to end proceedings here. I'm going to go for the 7-horse Double Charge, who gets the services of Grant Van Niekerk once again. And Grant's record on this horse is pretty good, with a win, a second, and a third. He's drawn in gate 1, carrying only 55 kgs, and he should definitely be. I think he's the one to beat in this race here, given that he's drawn in gate 1 and Giacomo Puccini is drawn all the way out in gate 12. So I'm going to go for Double Charge in this race here to beat Path of Choice. I think Path of Choice is an interesting runner. I think you can forgive him for his last run, where he was drawn out in gate 11 and he raced wide and he just got tired in the straight. Now that he's drawn in gate 4, Sandile Mbele and Vaughan Marshall once again has 54.5 on his back, and he continues to drop in the ratings, so he can definitely be a factor in this race here. And if you go back to his third run behind All About Al, there's been 4 winners and 6 places from that form line, and he was narrowly beaten by Giacomo Puccini, 0.3 lengths, and he's 3 kgs better off for that run. So I think that brings him into the contest, and he could be a live run in this field here, and some nice value as well. And then I think
it's the second biggest outsider, Path of Choice. Well, I'm not going to take you on because Solid Gold was 25-1, and Nico and I thought you were smoking socks, and it bolted home. So we've learned our lesson. We won't say it's got no chance. Path of Choice, nice price at 18-1. You said you wanted to add something else?
Yes, I also think Jaimala has a good chance, here in this race here. If you have a look at his post-maiden run, it was a fair post-maiden effort. He was supported on that occasion from 10-1 into 4-1, and he ran 4th behind Dollar Brand. I think now that he's drawn in gate 3 with Luim Kotoa still aboard, 55 on his back, I think he could be a live runner in this race here as well. And also the likes of Waterman, who has won over the course and distance and run 2/3. He could also be a run in this race here. And maybe you could include a couple others, the likes of Giacomo Puccini, who's a favorite in this race here, and maybe even Doppio Oro.
Yeah, the more you look at this race, the more it looks quite open. I think you've got to go fairly wide. Who knows, maybe you found the value in Path of Choice, who is drawn well at 4 and has come down in the merit races, despite the fact that he hasn't really totally lost his form. I mean, I was looking at him just now. I mean, he wasn't that long ago. It was earlier this year that he ran 2nd to Zeb and 3rd to Adios Amigos and close up 4th. In fact, it's worthwhile having a look at this because at the run on the 7th of April, because All Lit Up is the 3-1 favourite. Now, they met on the 7th of April, and Path of Choice carried 58.5 that day. He's now carrying 54, so he's down 4 kilograms. And All Lit Up is carrying exactly the same weight. And so on that run, theoretically, there should be 2.8 lengths in favour of Path of Choice. In fact, Path of Choice should finish 2.8 lengths in front of All About Al, because he's 4 kilograms better off. And the reason for that is, he's come down again from a 77 that day to a 73. So his last 2 runs probably not best, but if Sandile Mbele, who I think, to me, the Louis Nkotwa and Sandile Mbele are riding particularly well at the moment, and I think they're value for money jockeys, and they're giving their rides excellent opportunities. So yeah, maybe that's the right value there, 18 to 1, and more importantly, perhaps 33 to 10 a place on Path of Choice. I think you probably get 4 places, because there were 4 horses originally carded. Oh, no, 3 places. Yeah, I think they've got 3 places there. But anyway, yeah, so that's it. So just from the summing up point of view, if you're looking at buy pots and pick sixes, you've got to try and get your bankers in early. You enter the buy pot banker, and then just spread it out a little bit wider as the day progresses.
Yeah, certainly. I think you could get a few results in the buy pot, especially in race 3. That's a very tricky race. So you could get a result in that race. Race 4, maybe if you're confident enough that KT2 is going to run a good race, then maybe you could bank that. But you and I both are looking to beat her in that race there, especially since she's gone up with 6 points for that win. So I think she's a bit, could be vulnerable.
I think that's a very competitive race. Fillies and Mares handicap, and she might run in the first 2, but I think she's got a bit to do at the weights. And then the next race, well, you like 2 horses. You're going to go 6 Starboard and 8 Lilac Sensation. Yeah. I like Lilac Sensation, but again, it's another Fillies and Mares. If Lilac Sensation and Starboard don't run well, then there's any kind of result happens there. Yeah. But I think we can maybe take our chances with those juvenile races, the World Sports Betting Somerset and the Perfect Promise race. Anyway, it's a question of everybody putting it together. What's your best bet on the day?
I think maybe Dragonfly should be tough to beat in the first.
Dragonfly in the first, despite the fact that it's drifted, but maybe that's a good time to snaffle the price. Rahiel, thanks very much, matey. Yeah, I don't think I looked ahead. Oh, of course, we've got the Gold Challenge on the weekend, haven't we?
On Saturday, interesting. It's nice racing. But I see Rainbow Bridge is 8 to 10 favorites, and then Jet Talk and Bulgarian are 9 to 2.
You'd be a bit worried about the Snaith form there?
I would be, and I think if you have a look at Rainbow Bridge's run in the Drill Hall Stakes, I think he should be hard to beat in that race. As a Rainbow Bridge fan, I would be happy even if he doesn't win, as long as he gets that second run after rest out the way, and so he's at his peak for the July. So from that point of view, I'm pretty happy with whatever results in that race there.
Okay, Rahiel, thanks very much. I'm sure we'll catch up with you on the weekend. Thanks for your time on this Tuesday night. Have a good evening. Stay warm.
Yes, you too. Take care.